now Fort Barfoot. The original name for this military installation was Camp Pickett. Prior to America's involvement in World War II, the United States War Department already had their eye on and plans in place to secure over 41,000 acres of land from local farmers. Soon after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, construction began just outside the small rural town of Blackstone, Virginia. Throughout the war efforts, Pickett would experience explosive growth, as the base became a major training facility with basic and advanced installations, including a hospital. But there was another story at Pickett, which even many local residents of Blackstone are still unfamiliar. Just beyond the gate, right in the backyard of this small, quaint American town, lived German prisoners of war. Most of the prisoners were captured in North Africa, serving under the command of Field Marshal Rommel in the Afrika Korps. But as British and American forces prevailed in battle, many Germans willingly surrendered, and Allied forces loaded them onto ships for transport across the Atlantic. Many of the prisoners then found themselves right here on the shores of Virginia at Hampton Roads, where they would be processed, interviewed, screened, cleaned, and given assignments. They were loaded onto trains and taken to camps across the nation, including Blackstone, Virginia, at the gates of Camp Pickett. An official report of inspection from the Office of the Commanding General states that the first prisoner arrived on January 17, 1944. Now, the total number of prisoners varied from month to month, reportedly reaching about 6,000 in September of 1945. Upon arrival at Pickett, the German prisoners went through screenings to separate any who might be loyal to the Nazi Party or the Hitler regime from the conscripted soldiers with no real ties of loyalty. Daily life for the prisoners wasn't that bad. Some were enlisted for work around the base, some serving in hospitals, others with more manual labor, including helping to build facilities. They even constructed a stadium, known as the German Bowl, that until recently was still in use by American soldiers for recreation and physical training. Other prisoners were literally in the backyard of Americans. Because of the shortage of local labor, with much of the male population serving the war effort, German prisoners were recruited and rented out from both base and branch camps for work outside of the gates. According to the inspection report, they worked under the supervision of local residents, as well as military personnel. As the Geneva Convention stipulated, they were paid 80 cents a day, as they engaged in various tasks including pulpwood cutting, operation of fertilizer plants, and in the farming, harvesting, and canning of fruits and vegetable crops. One Virginia farmer, Paul Roller, said that he had arranged to get 4 men with no guards.
My name is Paul Roller, and I'm a farmer in Southern Virginia. I found out Camp Pickett had German prisoners there, and they were allowing them to go work on farms, so I got in touch with them. They sent me 4 men out there, no guards, anything. We worked in the cornfields cutting corn all day. We finished up, my wife and I fed them supper, and I took them back to camp, and they put them poor guys behind a old barbed wire fence, but 8 feet tall.
Now, it sounds lax, but for these German soldiers, escape wouldn't bring much hope. Unlike Allied prisoners in Europe, who, if they did manage to escape, could keep running until they eventually ran into friendly territory, there was no such option for the Germans. With an ocean separating them from any potential friendly zone, they really had nowhere to go. That doesn't mean some didn't try. There were at least 2 occasions where Germans did escape. One reports 2 escapees who were eventually captured, and another article mentions that there were 3 escapees, but the disposition of the case was not given. Security wasn't the only thing that was lax. The field inspection report states that military courtesy and discipline was very poor, suggesting a relaxed atmosphere for the prisoners. A prisoner is reported to even shown up at the mess hall in shorts, and when reminded of regulations, went back to the barracks and returned wearing blue jeans that weren't properly marked. This was for a birthday party for another prisoner, where a 6 or 7 layer cake of the French pastry variety was being served. Now, the prisoners had ample recreation, including live theatric and symphonic productions, and weekly cinema viewings with movies such as Gunga Din and The Merry Wives of Vienna. They played ping pong, tennis, volleyball, boxing, croquet, and badminton, They may have even enjoyed America's favorite pastime, baseball, as other camps report. When not watching movies or playing games, prisoners were also being educated. They were taught English and French, and even German composition and grammar. Religious facilities and chapels were also provided. The prisoners were allowed and encouraged to write home. Of course, all communication would be screened and censored. But this postcard, written by Ludwig Steinlechner,
22nd of October 1944. Dear Lenny, today, just a small greeting by postcard from your Ludwig. Would love to go on a little trip with you today because the weather is so nice and it's Sunday too. But console yourself, my little Lenny. It will all happen eventually. At the end again, best wishes. To Mother and the siblings as well. From your Ludwig, who never forgets you.
As the war came to an end, so did the German prisoners stay at Camp Pickett. Many returned to their home countries around Europe, having banked a considerable amount of money from their time in captivity. Others, likely in violation of the Geneva Convention, remained in the U.S. for a time, but most had returned to Europe by 1946. Well, the Germans were only at Camp Pickett, literally in the backyard of local Americans, for 2 short years, but their legacy and memory deserves to live on. It's unfortunate that the stadium, once a tangible reminder of these men, is no longer in use. But it's important to remember this chapter in not only American history, or the history of Camp Pickett, but of Blackstone, Virginia, which is still a picture of small-town, rural America. A town that also felt the very real presence of the German enemy during World War II. It's been rightly said, history is not only in the battles fought on distant shores, but it can be found in the quiet moments of understanding and humanity in small towns.